that. Then go. Go and find the truth. But do not stay here and destroy me.
In the heart of Lagos, the sun rose over the bustling city, painting the streets with golden light.
The sounds of vendors calling out, children laughing, and cars weaving through the traffic formed a lively symphony.
But inside a serene apartment on the 12th floor of a modern building, a different kind of morning unfolded. Abigail, a gentle, trusting, and grateful woman, opened her eyes to sunlight streaming through sheer curtains. Her heart was light, filled with warmth from the love she shared with her husband, Daniel. Daniel, a man admired for his generosity, integrity, and charm, was already awake. He moved quietly across the room, a crisp white shirt hugging his broad shoulders. In his hand was an envelope, neatly tucked, carefully chosen for the morning ritual he loved most, showing Abigail that she was seen, valued, and cherished. "Daniel, you didn't have to," Abigail exclaimed, surprise and delight dancing in her eyes. "I know, my love, but I wanted to," Daniel replied, his voice calm, steady, filled with warmth. "Consider it a little gift. For you, for your parents, for everything you do every day." Abigail's heart swelled. She knew love could not be measured in gifts alone, but in gestures, thoughtfulness, and shared presence. She smiled, reaching for his hand. "You are too good to me," she whispered, leaning on his shoulder for a brief, comforting moment. After breakfast, as the sun climbed higher and bathed the city in light, Abigail called her best friend, Rose, eager to share the joy.
Rose had always been her confidant.
The person she trusted to celebrate every happiness with her. "Rose, you won't believe what Daniel did today. He gave me more than I could imagine." Abigail's voice bubbled with excitement, pure and unguarded. "That's wonderful, Abigail." "Truly,"
Rose replied.
but her smile was polite, tight, hiding the twist of jealousy that had been forming for months.
Abigail, unaware of the shadow creeping in her best friend's heart,
continued to recount the details. The envelope, the little surprises, the plans Daniel had for the weekend. Her excitement was tangible, her joy infectious, but Rose's envy festered. Each detail, each happy moment, became a reminder of the life she longed for but could not have. She listened, nodding, smiling outwardly, while inside her mind twisted with longing and resentment. That afternoon, Abigail and Rose went shopping together. Abigail laughed freely, twirling in colorful dresses, her eyes sparkling. She held bags filled with thoughtful purchases for herself, gifts for her parents, and little items for her home. Daniel's generosity had made this possible, and she wanted to share it all with Rose. "You're lucky," Rose said, the words soft but with a bite hidden in the tone.
her mind raced.
"Why her? Why not me?" She watched Abigail glow with happiness, and her own heart burned with envy. Later that night, Rose sat alone in her small apartment.
The dim lights of the single
Lamp cast
long shadows across the
room. As she scrolled through photos of Abigail and Daniel, trips, gifts, smiles, laughter. Every photo, every image, every shared moment was a dagger to her pride. If lies don't work, maybe power will, she whispered to herself, her voice low and urgent. The envy, once quiet, had now become an obsession. Meanwhile, Abigail continued to enjoy her life, oblivious to the darkness gathering around her. She shared her joy with Daniel, laughed freely, and spoke of her love for him without hesitation. Her heart was open, trusting, and pure. Daniel, too, reveled in their happiness. He arranged little surprises, planned trips, and supported Abigail in every way he could. Together, they were a picture of love and contentment. A couple admired by friends, family, and neighbors alike. Rose's envy grew with each passing day. She watched Abigail share every moment, every laugh, every gift, with Daniel and with the world. She began plotting. If she could not earn Daniel's love honestly, she would take it through deceit. One evening, in a quiet park, Rose met Daniel under the guise of concern. Her heart pounded as she approached him, voice trembling but carefully controlled. Daniel, I don't know how to say this. I saw Abigail with another man. I was scared. I had to tell you, she said, her eyes wide with false worry. Daniel's brows knitted in confusion and shock. What? Are you serious? When did this happen? He froze. The seed of doubt had been planted, subtle but powerful. Rose smiled politely, hiding her triumph. Later, she orchestrated her next move. Abigail was invited to a spa under the pretense of a treat. Rose's voice was sweet, persuasive, irresistible. You deserve to relax. Let me spoil you today, she said, handing over a neatly folded spa voucher. Abigail, trusting, as always, embraced her friend. Thank you, my sister. You always think of me.
The two women arrived at the spa, laughing, smiling, taking photos of the day.
Abigail shared selfies with Daniel, blissfully unaware of the plot around her. Out with Rose. Can't wait to be home. She texted him. Daniel, anxious and confused, rushed to the spa, expecting to see proof of infidelity. But what he found was innocence, laughter, and friendship. Rose's first attempt had failed.
Panic gripped her chest.
No, this wasn't supposed to happen, she whispered to herself, voice trembling. Frustration gave way to desperation. Lies had failed. Rose turned to forces beyond the natural world. She sought Nana, Kweku, a traditional priest whose power was whispered about and feared in the city. The shrine was dark, flickering with firelight, shadows dancing across the carved wooden symbols that lined the walls.
Blood or pain follows love taken by force.
Are you ready? Nana Kweku asked, his voice deep and resonant. I am, Rose replied, determination hardening her voice.
The change did not happen suddenly.
It did not arrive with noise or warning. It came quietly, like harm often does. At first, Abigail noticed the silence. Daniel used to come home whistling softly, dropping his keys on the table, calling her name from the doorway.
Now, the door still opened, but the warmth no longer followed him inside.
His footsteps were heavier. His greetings were shorter. Sometimes, there were none at all. Abigail tried to tell herself it was stress, work, Lagos traffic, the pressure of being a provider. She told herself all good marriages pass through seasons. She reminded herself of all the good Daniel had done, all the love he had shown her. But love does not suddenly forget how to speak. One evening, Abigail served dinner carefully, arranging the plates the way Daniel liked. The aroma of jollof rice filled the room. She smiled, hopeful. Daniel, dinner is ready, she said gently. He glanced at the food, then at his phone. A smile flashed across his face. Not for her, but for something on the screen.
He laughed softly, a laugh Abigail had not heard directed at her in weeks.
Eat without me, he muttered. I'm not hungry. That was the first cut. Small, quiet, but deep. Later that night, as they lay in the same bed, Daniel turned his back to her. His phone glowed in the darkness. Abigail watched the light reflect on the wall, each notification like a reminder that someone else had his attention. She wanted to ask questions. She wanted to speak. But fear sat in her chest. What if she was wrong? What if she sounded insecure? What if she pushed him further away? So she stayed silent. Days turned into weeks. Daniel stopped coming home early. When he did, his patience was thin. Small things irritated him. The way Abigail asked questions. The way she cooked. The way she breathed too loudly. "You talk too much these days," he snapped one evening. Abigail froze. I was only asking how your day went," she said softly. He scoffed. "You're always monitoring me. Always. Suspicious?"
The irony burned her throat.
She was the one being shut out. Yet she was the accused. Unknown to Abigail, Rose was working relentlessly behind the scenes. Rose's phone buzzed constantly.
Messages from Daniel came in at all hours. Compliments. Confessions. Complaints.
"She doesn't understand me anymore," Daniel typed one night. Rose smiled in the dark.
This was what she wanted.
"Distance! Division! Dependence!" she replied carefully,
Feeding his confusion.
"Sometimes, when a woman feels too secure, she forgets how to treat her man. I'm just saying. I see you. I appreciate you." Each message wrapped itself around Daniel's heart like invisible chains. And beneath it all, the ritual worked silently. At Nana Kweku's shrine, candles burned low. The air was heavy.
The old priest sat quietly, eyes closed, murmuring words older than memory.
"Love taken unnaturally will bring unrest,"
he had warned.
But Rose did not care.
She returned again and again, desperation growing as the connection between her and Daniel intensified.
Back at home, Abigail's spirit began to bend. One afternoon, Daniel arrived home earlier than usual. Hope leaped in Abigail's chest. "You're back early," she said, smiling. Instead of smiling back, Daniel's face darkened. "Where were you this afternoon?" "He demanded to," she blinked, confused. "I went to the market, then to see my mother." He laughed harshly. "Disu." Her heart dropped. "Daniel."
Why would I lie?
"You think I'm stupid?" He raised his voice. "People are watching you. You think I don't hear things?" Tears filled Abigail's eyes. "Who told you this?" she asked. But he only waved her away, anger rising without explanation. That night was the first time he shoved her aside while walking past. Not hard, but intentional. Abigail sat on the edge of the bed long after he slept, holding her chest, whispering prayers into the silence. "God, please, what is happening to my home?" she called Rose the next day, hoping for comfort. Rose answered with sweetness. "Men change sometimes. My dear, just be patient. Maybe you're overthinking." Abigail thanked her, unaware that she was seeking comfort from the very hand tightening the noose. Soon, the verbal abuse escalated. Daniel insulted her intelligence, her cooking, her loyalty. "You think I don't know what you're doing outside?" he barked one night.
Abigail fell to her knees, crying.
"I have never betrayed you. Never." But he walked away, leaving her broken words on the floor. Mrs. Ada noticed the change when Abigail visited her one weekend. Her daughter was quieter, thinner. Her eyes carried pain. "My child," Mrs. Ada said gently, holding her hands. "What is going on in your marriage?" Abigail tried to smile, but it collapsed. "I don't know, Mama. He hates me now, and I don't know why."
Mrs. Ada sighed deeply.
"Sometimes this world is not only flesh and blood." The words lingered. That same week, Abigail followed Daniel, not because she wanted to spy, but because something inside her screamed. She saw them together, Daniel and Rose, laughing, close, comfortable. The world stopped. Her best friend, her husband, together. Abigail's legs shook. Her heart shattered in slow motion. The betrayal was no longer a suspicion. It was standing right in front of her.
Rose looked up and saw her.
For a moment, guilt flickered. Then It vanished. Abigail did not scream. She did not fight. She turned and walked away, carrying the weight of 2 betrayals on her back. That night, Daniel did not come home. Abigail sat alone in the darkness, realizing the truth she had been avoiding. Her friend had become her enemy. Her love had been taken, and something unnatural had entered her marriage. But this was not the end. This was the moment before awakening. Abigail did not sleep that night. The house felt unfamiliar, as though the walls themselves had shifted. Every sound echoed too loudly. Every shadow seemed to whisper. She sat on the floor of the living room, knees pulled to her chest, staring at the door Daniel had not walked through. Her mind replayed the image over and over again. Rose, Daniel, together! The betrayal cut deeper because it wore the face of trust. By morning, something inside Abigail changed. The tears dried. The confusion settled into clarity. Pain gave birth to resolve. She stood up, washed her face, and looked at her reflection in the mirror. The woman staring back looked tired, wounded, but not defeated. "This will not end like this," she whispered. Abigail went first to her mother.
Mrs. Ada listened in silence as Abigail poured everything out the change in Daniel.
The emotional cruelty, the distance, the sight that confirmed her worst fears. "My daughter," Mrs. Ada said softly, placing a hand on Abigail's back. "This battle is not ordinary."
She paused, choosing her words carefully.
"When love turns to hatred without reason, when peace leaves suddenly, there is often more at work than the eye can see." Abigail nodded slowly. Her heart already knew. That evening, she went to see Pastor Samuel. The church was quiet. Candles flickered at the altar. The air was calm, heavy with prayer.
Pastor Samuel listened without interruption, his eyes gentle but sharp.
As though he could see beneath the surface of her words. "This is not your fault," he said firmly. "And you are not crazy." Abigail broke down. "I loved them both," she cried. "How could this happen to me?" Pastor Samuel placed his hand over hers. Darkness thrives in secrecy, but light always exposes. He prayed with her long, deep prayers that cut through the confusion. As the words flowed, Abigail felt something loosen inside her chest, like chains breaking slowly. That same night, Daniel returned home. He looked different, tired, restless. Abigail stood in the doorway. "We need to talk," she said calmly. Daniel scoffed. "Now you want to talk?" "Yes," she replied. "Now!" She spoke the truth without shouting, without begging. She told him what she saw. She named the distance. She named the pain. She named Rose. At the sound of her name, something flickered across Daniel's face. Fear, confusion, then anger. "You're imagining things," he snapped. But even as he spoke, his voice trembled. Abigail took a step back. "Then go," she said. "Go and find the truth. But do not stay here and destroy me." That night, Daniel left, alone again. Abigail did not chase. She prayed. Elsewhere, Rose's world was beginning to crack. The dreams started first. Dark figures. Voices calling her name. Sleepless nights filled with fear she could not explain. Nana Kwiku's warnings echoed in her ears. Love taken by force demands payment. She returned to the shrine in panic. "You said this would work," she cried. Nana Kweku stared at her coldly. "It worked," he said. "Now you must face the balance." Daniel began to notice the fog lifting. Moments of clarity pierced the haze. He remembered Abigail's kindness, her patience, her faithfulness. The guilt crashed over him like waves. One afternoon, while alone, he dropped his phone.
Messages from Rose scrolled across the screen. Manipulative, possessive, desperate.
Suddenly, he saw it. The lies. The influence. The unnatural pull. Fear gripped him. He went to Pastor Samuel for the first time. Daniel listened. Prayers were said. Confessions made. The truth exposed. The hold began to break. Meanwhile, Rose's health declined.
Anxiety consumed her.
The joy she thought she had stolen turned bitter. Daniel grew distant.
The affection faded.
One night, she stood alone, surrounded by silence. I just wanted what she had, she whispered. But it was too late. Daniel returned to Abigail. He stood before her, humbled, eyes filled with regret. I was wrong, he said. I don't know how I lost myself, but I did. Abigail listened. She did not rush forgiveness. She did not erase the pain. Healing takes time. Rose's downfall came quietly. The friendship severed. The love she stole evaporated. She was left alone with the consequences of envy. Abigail chose peace, whether with Daniel or without him. She chose herself. She learned that not every friend is sent to stay. Some are sent to teach. And from the ashes of betrayal, a stronger woman rose. The sun rose again over Lagos. And this time, Abigail stood in the light hole. Here's some real advice, not just for the story, but for life too. 1. Not everyone who smiles with you is happy for you. Abigail's mistake wasn't loving. It was sharing her joy with someone who had a wounded heart. Some people don't hate you. They hate the peace you have, the love you receive, the favor on your life. You don't have to hide your blessings, but learn this balance. Share your testimony, not every detail. Oversharing your happiness to the wrong person can invite silent competition. 2. Watch energy, not words.
Rose said my sister, but her heart said I wish it was me.
People reveal themselves through forced smiles, backhanded compliments, always comparing, acting supportive but never celebrating loudly. When someone struggles to clap for you, protect your distance. 3. A strong marriage needs privacy. Abigail loved innocently, but constant updates about money, gifts, vacations, how good her husband was, created an unhealthy spotlight. Marriage is not secrecy, but it is sacred.
What grows well grows quietly.
4. When behavior changes suddenly, look deeper. Daniel didn't just change. There were signs.
Sudden irritation.
Emotional withdrawal. Secrecy with phone. Accusations without proof. In real life, sudden personality shifts can come from outside influence, emotional manipulation, guilt, stress, or someone else feeding their mind. Instead of panic, respond with calm. Conversation plus boundaries plus prayer plus wise counsel. 5. Jealousy is one of the most dangerous human emotions. Jealousy doesn't want equality. It wants replacement. A jealous person doesn't want what you have. They want you to lose it. That's why jealousy destroys friendships, families, businesses, marriages. Protect your peace from people who compete with your happiness. 6. Your worth is not tied to who stays. Abigail's power came when she stopped begging.
Whether Daniel stayed or left, she chose.
Self-respect over desperation. Never fight to keep someone who is comfortable hurting you. Love that must be forced will never be safe. 7. Pain can rebuild you stronger. The story isn't about betrayal. It's about awakening.
Sometimes loss
teaches discernment.
Builds inner strength. Deepens faith. And removes people who would have destroyed you later. What feels like an ending can be protection. Final truth. Not every battle is meant to break you. Some are sent to reveal who is real, who is fake, and who you truly are. And remember this, always, a friend who competes with you is not a friend. They are a storm waiting for the right season.